And for people seeing this for the first time, my name is Otieno Paul Peter. I'm your host. Now, I'd like to invite Dr. Melvin to introduce the guest, and then we get started right there. Yeah.
After that sobering reflection about if tomorrow never comes, we are moving on to something which is very important for each of our businesses. And the mantra of our speaker is every organization, every individual has the potential to be great. Now, our speaker today holds a global MBA in entrepreneurship from the prestigious USIU. She's a certified coach, speaker, and trainer with John Maxwell, and a member of the Institute for Customer Experience Kenya. As you might have guessed by now, or if you read the poster, the topic for today is customer experience. We have with us an expert in this area with over 20 years of work in this field. She has expertise and skills in developing comprehensive customer experience training programs, business etiquette programs, and emotional intelligence training. She has further experience in business operations, portfolio management, and sales with adept analytical skills. And she has been a trailblazer in diverse leadership positions in the airline sector, banking sector, sales and administration management, and project management. She's committed to strengthening customer experience, business etiquette, and fostering human relations and people management through mastering the art of emotional intelligence as she contributes to organizations' overall success. Please put your hands together for Agnes Mueni, I believe. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
That's
Agnes.
correct. That's correct. Thank you so much, Dr. Ari. Good morning, everyone. Power Monday team, my colleagues in the industry, professionals, those who are in employment. And thank you so much for organizing and helping us to be able to fuel our weeks through the Power Monday. Every time I think I've logged in, it always gives me a different perspective on how a Monday can actually be an exciting day. Many of us, we keep talking about the Monday blues. And I think this kind of talk every Monday is just a way of just demystifying our Mondays and giving us hope. So pure thank you for the invite and also the opportunity to be able to add value to ourselves. And so today, yes, it's a topic that it's very passionate. I'm very passionate about. And Dr. thank you for the introduction. So I don't need to do more introductions as far as who I am is concerned. Maybe we'll just dive into the topic of the day. And let me actually say, Nancy, thank you for that wonderful, wonderful poem. What if tomorrow never comes? I mean, to be honest, I think it also resonates with the topic for today. Because when you talk about providing service excellence or customer experience and improving how we are delivering service across the board, one of the key things that the mental mindset that we need to achieve or wear is actually just about that poem, that what if tomorrow never comes? What if this is my last encounter with this client? What if this is my last encounter with the service that I'm providing for this institution? would it still be the same for me in the manner that I'm carrying myself today? So what a great way of thinking in that manner. So I don't know that I have the ability to share so that, oh yes, I do. Are you all able to see my screen? I will try and put it on the slide mode.
Yeah, it's there.
Now you can. Is it on this? Is it in a good shape? Is it in the slide mode now?
Not yet.
Let me see.
Yes.
Right. It is. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, so then that's the topic for today. And let me put my clock near me. I believe I have just maybe about 30 or so minutes. So I'm hoping we'll do justice to the topic, even as we indulge. So our topic is just basically service excellence, and which generally I love saying it is a catalyst for success for both you as an individual, and also more so for the institution or the enterprise or the organization or the business that we are running. And just basically, I know Dr. has fully introduced me, has spoken about where I've been, my experience in the past. I guess it's just a way of validating where I need to be able have the ability, or I've got a voice for today's topic. But also beyond that, let me say I'm very human. I am married. I've got two wonderful babies. I'm sure you can see them right there. One of them graduated in June. And so I'm a mother of teenagers, indeed. Gen Z is actually two of them. All right. Over and above that, what do I do if I'm not working, if I'm not taking care of my family? I love the outdoor a lot. I hike. I have been able to summit the two top heights or peaks in Africa. This April, I was in Kilimanjaro just to try and challenge myself. And during the COVID season in 2021, I also summited Mount Kenya. So that's really who I am. And I just love also connecting with the younger generation, because then when you talk about service excellence, and especially the trainings that they go through and then they migrate into the workspace, the ethics that they need to be able to portray, the ability to build the resilience, the ability to be able to build personal support systems around themselves, and the ability to understand what is it that I need to be able to do so that I can excel in that space even as I begin my career. For me, I think I find it a very painful journey, considering how I began my own career path, not having very good mentors as I came from back in the village. And therefore, I was like a blind duck, so to speak. And therefore, I love a lot. I find a lot of fulfillment when I'm talking to the young people. So I do a lot of mentoring as a pro bono, just to bring a level of fulfillment for myself. So I do a lot of that. I'm a Rotarian beyond that. And so that is also another way of how I give back to the society in a bigger picture, and with also similar people that have got similar mindset like myself. So I don't know, let me ask, and I'm hoping I can get a few chats here and there. When you talk about service excellence, what really like goes in your mind? Can I have like one or two words that comes in your mind? Pio, maybe you can try and help me to read them when they come. Let's just be quick and fast and furious. What really comes in your mind when you hear service excellence? Is it an ambiguous word, or is it a word that really just speaks to you? What really comes in your mind? Maybe just a few thoughts here and there. Can you see anything, Pio? I can't see anything.
Yes, there is customer is always right. That's from Odhiambulale.
Mm-hmm.
There is customer satisfaction from Dr. Melvin.
Mm-hmm.
And there is pleasant experience from
Yep.
Edna. There
Mm-hmm.
is giving your best from Flo Ambayo.
Nice.
Mhm.
Wow.
And there is memorable service, and there is they've really come, memorable service,
Wow.
unforgettable experience,
Excellent.
going
Wow.
beyond customer expectation.
Wow. I love the going beyond. Nice. Okay.
720 holdings.
Ah,
Customer metrics, always
oh,
accept feedback with joy, efficiency, service with a smile, being excellent in all you do, and the
mm-hmm.
rest. Yes.
Wow, thank you. So we then seem to be in sync. So this discussion is going to be very easy for me, to be honest, because really customer service excellence, really all those things we've talked about, going beyond even the customer metrics. I know somebody has spoken about that. Offering the exceptional service. We're talking about generally then bigger words. And if you could see my screen, I picked many words and I put them there all over this place, because all those many things that each of you talked about with excellence in the middle. We're talking about distinction. We're talking about supremacy, ability to give quality beyond the value we are offering to the client, being peerlessness, basically meaning standing out and not basically moving with the crowd, having the ability to be brilliant, greatness, preeminence, superiority, and high quality. All those things really defines what excellence really means. And so when you think of it deeply like that, then you ask yourself, do we really just say these things in a manner that is just skewed towards just running our individual organizations, or does it also have something to do with me as an individual per se, as a service provider? Because then, as you're talking about service, who really provides the service? Whether you have a product or an actual service that you're providing to the marketplace, the question that I will also throw to all of us here, who is really that enterprise? When you talk about an organization, an enterprise, an institution, a business that you've actually created, you've had the vision already and you put it forward there and you've got a service, a product that you're selling. What is exactly a definition for an enterprise that is offering that service? What is an enterprise? Will the business itself really sell that product? Or are we talking about also the inclusivity of the people that are there? What comes in your mind when you talk about business? Really, I think maybe those are the words that I would want to hear. Quick words. Is it just the business? Is it what really comes in your mind when you hear a service and the business itself that is offering the actual service or even selling the product? What really comes in your mind? Can I hear any thoughts that are coming through? I can see there are quite a bit of chat.
Structure and systems. That's
Mm-hmm.
for Melvin Lima.
Structure and systems, anything else?
Waiting. People are still loading. Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's maybe for the sake of time, I'm sure it also talks about the people in that institution, isn't it? I think it also talks about the systems. Perfect, Melvin. Thank you. Yes, that's very true. Do we also talk about the culture? Because, culture also defines the element of how we behave ourselves internally and how we are perceived, because that's what it is. And I love saying, really, to be honest, culture, it's excellence for breakfast, whether it is from you as an individual or for the institution. Really, I love saying that, because they really, as we talk about culture eating strategy for breakfast, I love throwing in my space ability to give excellence. And if your culture is not right for you, even first and foremost as an individual and also as a business, then guess what? It doesn't matter the kind of service that you put or you envision in that business, because your culture generally will eat that up, and you wake up and you realize what you envisioned to be a very phenomenal business, a concept or strategy. Unfortunately, my culture is just rotten. And so because it's rotten, then guess what happens? It basically, you will not be able to succeed. So primacy, distinction, quality, and all these things that are put here, if you've not been able to have a good structure, great system put in place, great people that are positioned in the right places. You've got also a methodological way of providing that service. You've got a very systematic way that is agreeable and understood right from the top to the very bottom, from the management to the functional teams. Then it doesn't matter what else you've put in place. Generally, the service will just be another empty bucket that has got beautiful a layout to the outside, but inside is totally empty. And what an empty promise. And so as we move forward, I don't know whether then you are right to agree with me in this case, that truly service excellence really begins with you as a person. And so when you talk about increasing your ability to do well and to go beyond as an individual, for you as a business to be able to excel, whether you're a big multinational or a global space, or whether you've got the small business that you've thought through, the ability to provide excellence in terms of service totally begins with you. Number one, if I can talk about you as an individual who is providing a service, if you're in employment, some of the things that you have to remember is that two things happen when you finish training. You go to university, you go to the college, you get your vocational training, you step out, and now you're ready for the job market. And my son, we actually celebrated him. We just did a Thanksgiving yesterday for his having graduated, and he's now ready for the job market. And some of the things that I was telling him is that two things need to happen. One, he has to make a decision, one, whether he wants to anchor his services to an existing enterprise, all right? Because that enterprise basically has vision, has services, structures, and beyond that, they have the room and the capacity and the strength and the muscle to look out for the customers, all right? Now, he has to remember, I have an excellent skill to provide a specific service to that enterprise. So the challenge to him is, beyond writing a fantastic CV, beyond talking about the experience, the kind of university and the and excellence in terms of having passed out as with a first honors in computer science, that is beautiful in paper. But if you decide to anchor your services to an existing institution, how great are you when you're providing that service to that institution? Because that will be the deal breaker for you and your growth path in that career journey. So that is choice number one, to decide to be excellent as I provide the service to that existing institution whom I believe in the value that they provide in the marketplace. And I'm ready to add the value to that institution through providing excellence service or excellent service to that institution. That is option one. The only other option is to step out and say, I will not take up the headache of running a business, putting up a vision out there, challenging myself to figure out how to get my next customer, figuring out how to manage the operational efficiencies, carrying the headache of leadership and all that, and put yourself forward and decide to begin your own business. So those are the only two options when you finished school. Either you anchor your services to an existing enterprise or step forward and be able to start your business. And both of them, I'll not say one of them is better than the other. It really depends on how you look at it, because they're both good. But then you realize if you're looking at providing a service, then in fact, when I start my training to employees, I tell them, you need to quit calling yourself an employee and consider yourself as a service provider to that institution, because then that changes your mindset. And remembering, you know what, here I decided to put forward and say, I can provide this service because I've got the skill, I've got the experience, and I've got the ability, and I'm willing to go beyond, right? Now, when you look at it that way, then you look at a few things. You step into that institution, ask a few questions. If I have been given the opportunity, how far then can I go with this current institution and even beyond? And what that speaks to you is about, do I have any gaps for me to move forward to the next step from where I'm sitting? Are there things that I need to learn and unlearn so that I'm able to provide excellence as far as this business is concerned? How will how will I sit in people's mind, their perception towards me, and my ability to deliver the service that I promised right from the beginning that I'm able to provide? That's one. So then those are the things that you need to look at for you as an individual, as far as providing excellence in terms of service is concerned. So then it begins with you. For you as an institution, then you also need to look at a few things as well. Do I have the right people sitting in the right seats? Do I have a system? And system is just not the softwares. It's beyond that. It's about the ability for you to have a structured methodological way of how your service is provided. And some of the service that we provide for us at Skill at Point, because that's the own institution that I run, is to help you also to structure your service provision as a business. So as we train teams, we allow them to be able to shift their mind, to be able to figure out, I am no longer just an employee, but I'm looking myself as a service provider for this institution. That's some of the mind shift we try and do. The second thing is, do you understand then, how then do you provide it? The ability to listen, the ability to empathize, and the ability to provide and solve solutions or provide solutions to clients. Now, if you've done that, as you speak about how then do I fuel those three, then you must have the ability to have the knowledge. And knowledge theory speaks about the gaps that might be existing. And then that remains your personal responsibility to groom self, to do whatever it takes, not to give excuses, but to give reasons. Not to give reasons, but to be able to give solution to the clients. Number two, to have the respect also for the kind of institution that you're working for, but also beyond that, to understand that you're serving a very diverse kind of clientele, even as we're looking at the space that we're serving currently. And we'll quickly be able to look at the kind of the both work and also the marketplace or the business world as well, and then the ability to respond. So really service excellence is just simply that, just doing what everybody else could not, and yet we say we know it. So the doing the simple things, that's really what it is. And so you ask yourself, in this then place that you're working today, both in the work order, which is then in the employment space, and also the new world of business. We've talked about the VUCA, and I know it's been such a big, ambiguous word for many of us. They're talking about the volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and also the ambiguous part. And, if you look at it generally, we're talking about businesses themselves having the ability to embrace what they don't know, accept things that they need to quickly change. And that talks about the ability to shift in the way you do your business. And this makes a huge part of the strategic plan for every business. And if you look at it, if we could just quickly pick two examples, even as we speak about this, look at what Uber and maybe also the Airbnb did to our businesses. Uber, the impact it had on now it has revolutionized the taxi business. Airbnb, the impact it had in the hotel space. It has taken quite a bit business from those areas, if I could speak about that. But also beyond that, even living in this era of AI and big data, then you realize there's such a huge shift. And big data, speaking about you as a business, do you have the ability to connect, to listening to your client, understand where they are, and not just where they are, even where they want to be met? Because I believe there are those who want to be met in Google. There are those who want to be met in LinkedIn. There are those who want to be met in Facebook. Look for me where I am so that you can speak to me. So for you who has a business and service and a product you're selling, are you in those places where me who is your customer? And because you need to have defined who I am, do you know where I am sitting? So then you have to understand that. And you sit in that space, not only just providing and throwing in your products? Have you understood what really I am looking for? Those are the things that you need to be able to ask yourself and answer those questions for you as an individual and as a business. But also for you who is in employment and you're sitting here today, do you understand the HR metrics that they're using today? The ability to be engaged remotely. So we call it remote engagement efficiency. Are you in that space? Have you understood now there's a gig economy? And that is a big one. I mean, I must say it is taking a big toll order on the professionals as well. And I love saying even it's what we call it, I believe it's the shared services, where you're finding that some of the services that were being housed internally and they were taking people to come and do those jobs, now they're being shared services. Basically, they are outsourcing that at the moment. So you find there's quite a lot of change within the business space and also in the work world as well. So you must be able to have to be in that space, understand it through that perspective. And so then when you do that, then you realize for you who is in employment, there are no guarantees anymore now of issues of being employed with permanence and pensionable staff. No. It is your ability to groom yourself and position yourself in the workplace in such a manner that you remain employable. So now you realize now the shift and the onus is on you as an individual in that manner. For you on the other side as a business, how prepared are you for all these eventualities? Have you understood your clientele? Do you have the service that they're looking for, not what you want? Because then it's about when you've understood it, then you're able to create for me what I'm looking for, not what you want. Preferences are changing every day. And all those dynamics adding value to that. And so you find, I don't know, look at that picture that I put, because then speaks to the shifts that we've talked about. BlackBerry. Oh, he has a BlackBerry here. Let me see if anybody, but you remember its era? I mean, I'm sure you do, right? You guys, don't you?
Yes, we do. It was a big thing then. I think it was the Samsung of that time,
Absolutely,
and
isn't it?
the
Yes.
iPhone. Right?
And actually it was before, it was really bigger than the iPhone, to be honest, at that time. And then we have, of course, Kodak. You remember those days of, they were selling those, and things have shifted, haven't they? And then even look at the post office. The other day I got a bill from post office and they're telling me to pay. I can't remember how much. And I remember for us as a business, we're asking ourselves, wait a minute, when was the last time I got a mail from that place, by the way? So do I still need to pay it? So every time I see myself filling those details and I keep asking myself, oh, they want a postal address. Oh, okay, I will fill it. But I wonder how many of us, when was the last, who got a letter a week ago, really, and it's been consistent, going to their post office, you open with a key, you pick up your things. You remember those shifts? Yeah. And then, of course, they're suffering big time at the moment. And then the top one there also in terms of changing the workspace as well. Secretarial jobs those years. I know the Gen, okay, not the Gen Zs, I think the Gen X's, I think it's us now. This was a big deal even before then, actually. The baby boomers and all that. I think this was a big thing for them, and they were very highly rated roles and professionals those days. But a lot has changed. So I don't know, when you talk about speed, ability, and the ability to respond, something really affected this. And many of these roles we're talking about, but also these brands that we've put here. So talking about the Nokia theory, you remember Nokia, you guys? They're also big, isn't it? Yeah. The Kodak theory, of course, I've talked about the BlackBerry secretarial jobs, and things have shifted big time. And so it's important for ability to remain relevant, even we speak about service excellence, because really that's what it is. So as we speak about AI, as we speak about the big data, as we speak about thinking customer first, and customer centricity, then we're talking about the ability as a business to remain relevant. Do you know where your customers are? Number one. First and foremost, you define them. Who are your customers? The product and the service that you're offering. Have you found a market? And is the market big enough? And that market, where is it sitting? Where are they mainly sitting? So that as you speak to them, you're speaking to them in the language, number one, they understand. You're listening enough to be able to hear the unspoken. So a point that you are starting to understand their preferences and the shifts that are affecting your ability to remain relevant. So then it's important to be able to structure your services and your product with that relevance. And a few things we can say are fundamental as far as this is concerned. Your culture of your business remains very at the foundation of it all. Leadership, commitment, and alignment, the CEO and the entire leadership has to be driving it, because then it's no longer in a department or compartmentalized. It needs to be across the entire business from the top, and it needs to be driven right from the top. And I think as I finish, I'll be able to give maybe 1 or 2 slides just to show then what can you do for you as a business to be able to ensure that some of those things are actually aligned as far as leading your business is concerned. Employees must be put first, because then that means they are relevant as well. Do they understand what it means to provide excellence as far as your product and your service is concerned? Beyond that, customers need to before products and services. That means you've understood what they're looking for, you've heard, you've listened, you've been able to predict what they're looking for, and be able to structure your services in that manner, in terms of even not just packaging it, but also the actual product they're looking for. And then, of course, it's important now to empower your people, because then you're talking about customers, teams, and investors generally across, because then you also need to be able to ensure ethically operating within a space that defines and aligns to the business environment in that space. So those are the key things that affect what I call the principles of service excellence, and ensuring that you're adopting that as a business. So you, in terms of leadership, commitment to it, and also the culture of the business. So those are things you need to look at. And also now considering your employees and also the customers, what are they looking for? And of course, people before profits, all right? So are there certain principles that we can apply so that we can get better as a business? Absolutely. I will repeat this word, I call it LESS. And that's an acronym for just listening. And listening talks about listening to understand. There's this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And habit 5 speaks about seeking to understand, then to be understood. Many of us, research shows that many of us, we tend to, as you speak, there's already somebody who is thinking of how they need to answer you. And we talk about listening to understand is you need to listen to my pain, listen to my point of view, understand why I am reasoning in the manner I am reasoning. Once you've understood that, and you can only do that by asking a few questions and being able to be present as you speak with people or with your clients. And then that way, once you've understood, empathy checks in. And once empathy has checked in, serving becomes very easy for you. You will not struggle after that. And they're impacted by a few key elements. And we've talked about that, the culture of that business, the system itself across. Do we have a structure? The people, do you have the right people in your bus? So those are the things you need to ask yourself. Do you have the right people in your bus, sitting in the right seats? Because you can have a bus, but if you have the driver sitting in the middle and you pick whoever to sit as the driver, the problem is you don't know their experience. You don't know whether they know the journey. You don't know how they need to behave as they move. If you're driving in Kenyan roads, how they need to maneuver the police across the road, because they don't have that kind of experience. So the people need to be sitting in the right seats in that bus. So one of the things you need to look at is that. And then beyond that, then the leadership and the strategy that comes into place. So generally, we are saying you need to be able to begin with the end in mind and keep that end in mind consistently without fail. And so the question is, are there reasons then why we need to improve a customer experience? Absolutely. And the top 3 are the ones I've given you. We need to improve the customer retention, and that takes a huge chunk of why of the why of CX. 33% is to improve customer satisfaction, and then 32% takes up to share to increase cross-selling and upselling. Generally, if you look at the red part, which is the biggest part of that pie, it is not easy to get one customer. It takes a huge effort to be able to just to gain one more customer every day. If you can actually increase your retention and be able to manage better the clientele that you already have, you realize now harvesting through from that becomes a lot easier, as opposed to going to search for one more customer coming in. And therefore, when you talk about the people themselves, then you realize for you, as you step out as a business owner, you need to remember then the people that are driving your business it's not just not you. It is actually who? It is actually the teams that are in the business. So that's very important. These are just some bit of statistics that I've given. But let me pick probably just this part here. Let me see if I can highlight it. Look at this one here. 86% of consumers say they would leave a brand after only 2 poor customer service experiences. And then look at this, saying 8% of buyers' speed of delivery is a prime factor, and the rest of it just generally speaks about that. So it's important for us to realize that this big red pie here takes a very huge part of your business survival. So for you to survive as a business, this retention needs to make sense, and also as you move into customer satisfaction and ability to cross-sell. Ideally then, as an institution, that is the path that we need you to have, so that you can have highly motivated service teams, unique customer experience, increased loyalty, and of course the ability to provide excellence, because then it's mediocre. Then I am sure nobody wants to be in this space as far as providing your service is concerned. So the next question is then, how can you create what I would call service excellence culture? A few things can happen. One of them is a bit of what I've just already talked about. Right at the top of your organization, first and foremost, you're the vision bearer. It needs to be at the top and know for a fact that when I'm providing service, it is when the service is being provided in my institution, it needs to align to my embedded within my strategy as a business. And therefore, for many institutions, then some of the things we recommend is at the top there, ensure that there's an executive that whose work is just in general to look at your service excellence or customer experience. And that really steps it down further to the functional teams, because then what they will do, then they will build now champions within the other teams or within the other departments, so that they can run it well. And also providing, ensuring that the employees are empowered, they've got a shared vision, ability to be agile, swift and responsiveness. Those are the things that you need to look at. And also in the departmental space, then do we have champions as well? So beyond that, then now is to ensure that then internally you also there's a good collaboration, and you're killing the silos within the different teams that are existing, and really that's really what we'll call the ability to build the culture of service excellence within the teams, prioritize on employee engagement, and also enforcing just values, because it is important to enforce them. And so when you have somebody sitting from the executive and they're trickling it down, then enforcement becomes very easy, because when you put it as part of your metrics as far as performance, measuring performance is concerned. And so when you keep that as a key performance indicator, then it becomes a lot easier. For you, then the things that you need to do, ensure that you're setting for personal success. If you're looking at your service as an individual, you need to set just clear goals, have the ability to understand that continuous learning, it needs to be there. If there are gaps, read them, get to know what you need to do. Do you have self-reflection in terms of where am I? Do you know who you are? Do you know where you want to go? Do you know exactly why you stepped into that institution? Are there gaps? What do I need to learn? Do I have healthy habits? Let's start from there, because then it's so critical for you, not only just the eating, the exercising, but also the culture that you're building within you. What do I want to be known for as I provide that service? Even I myself to be headhunted for another institution, how good am I in my current institution? Because it's not automatic. They'll be looking for some of those qualities so that they're able to look out for you, because they're looking for value. Any institution looking for you as an individual, they're looking for value. And so is an individual looking to you as a customer to buy your product and service. They're looking for value. So it isn't just a matter of stepping into your business or stepping into an institution with empty promises. It needs to be real, tangible proof that you can deliver, you can offer, and you mean what you say. So then the ability to step forward and come out of your comfort zone will be a deal breaker for you. And that is what enhances self-confidence. It gives you a sense of purpose. It will be able to elevate you into a level of understanding that learning, it is a continuous journey, the ability to remain resilient and also cope with the stresses of life. So there's so much more that you can say about that. But let me say the summit nights are hard. And what do I mean by that? I told you guys I'm a hiker. And so the summit nights, let me say Kilimanjaro, they say is quite easy, but the summit night from Kibo to the top, it's madness. But then you realize when you've finished and you've hit Gilman's at the top, the rest is just on the rim. And I love saying that those people that are at the top of the mountain did not just fall there. They had to go through the entire journey of what you call the pre-hikes, preparing for that summit night, building resilience. And building resilience speaks about ensuring that your breathing system, your muscle strength, and all the faculties that are within you are actually ready for the journey. Because this is what expands your perspective of the journey ahead of you, ability to venture out of your comfort zone. This is what improves your mental strength and also knowing self completely, because that is the power within and the ability to have wisdom, and then growing with confidence, and also it makes you to have great passion and perseverance. So those are the things that you can do, understanding that for you to land at the top of the mountain is going to be tough. So you need to prepare for the journey. And I love saying, do those hard things, whatever it is you need to do. If you need to go back to school to do those gaps, get out and do it. Quit giving excuses. Procrastination only is a term that we use to say, you're stuck in what we call the knowledge gap. You know what you need to do, and you're just simply not doing it. So why are you not doing it? Force yourself to do it. There's nothing like motivation. I love saying motivation is garbage, really, because then what got you where you are today is not what will take you next. You need to be able to be so self-driven as far as your business, your personal, or even your personal career is concerned, and to stop at absolutely nothing. And so as I conclude, then I will say, we need to remember that excellence is a strategy to foster both employee productivity and business growth. But to you as an individual is the secret power to go beyond. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, I see we've eaten into a lot of time. I don't know. There is one question which you will handle. Melvin just mentioned something which you mentioned. Why improve CX? 1, customer retention. 2, reduce churn. What are the other 2?
Sorry, what did you say? The question?
Yeah, the question was, why improve CX, which you said. Yeah, so number 1 was customer retention. The other one was reduce churn. What are the other 2?
I thought I spoke about customer, there's also improved customer retention. There's also the customer satisfaction, and also increase cross-selling across and upselling.
Great. And I love the word cross-selling. When we talk about sales, we talk about how do you improve that cross-selling things. I think the session has been very lovely, very intense, and maybe if we had double the time, we would have gathered more. But I think that is satisfactory, because then people who want more can always look for who is Agnes Mueni. I love that you started with the word culture, because last week we were talking about culture, and something I was taught, this is the way I opened it, is that growth is determined by culture, systems, and chemistry. So when you talk of leadership and customers and people, that's where the chemistry is. Chemistry is that relationship between people, the interpersonal relationships. And you mentioned that culture shifts. It's not permanent, and that's what people are seeing today. A long time ago, people would talk about something which is permanent, but today it's temporary. Everything is temporary. And then you are talking about you said something to do with people could do it. Excellence is we can do it. Everyone can do it, but no one does it. Yeah, that reminds me of the statement that you can do it, you should do it, but you don't do it. Yes, that's the problem. Yeah. Or you can do it, you should do it, but you won't do it. That is now being stubborn. You're just stubborn. You shouldn't. You won't do it, and that is now what makes the difference. I love saying that when I define who is a customer, I say that customer is the hand that feeds you, is the one that pays you. And for those even in employment, your employer is your first and most important customer. Yeah, and you want to be to provide excellence there. If you provide excellence and you adopt that culture of excellence, then it will open doors for you and you cannot run out of opportunities. We were talking with Kyoko here early before we got started, and he was telling me about how some of his colleagues just got redundant. But then that comes when somebody is going to choose, whom do I want to retain, whom do I want to let go. It all boils down to the question of excellence. Yes, who is a team, who is a player, and who is a B player, a C player. Who can I replace? Who can I do away with? So this is quite beautiful, and I enjoyed every bit of it. Thank you very much. We have EBAU. I believe this is Evelyn Buter, and she mentioned something to do with the customer. When we are serving customers, it's from their point of view, not our point of view. What is excellence? It's from their point of view. Yes, so you can speak. You raised up your hand. We have just like 2 minutes left.
Yeah, thank you very much for that excellent presentation. Yeah, I'm the one who put the comment about our excellence being from our point of view. It's not from the point of view of the service provider. And this is what I keep telling people also in healthcare. You can keep patting yourself on the back that you have reached your goals and your targets and all that. But what does the customer themselves say, whether you're in a public hospital or in a private hospital? And when we were working in Kenyatta in the 90s and in the 80s, the clients, the patients in the public hospitals could tell the difference between those of us who were doing locums in AAR, in other private institutions that used to teach us about customer care. Because unless you're schizophrenic, you cannot behave differently when you come from the private and you're now in the public, just because these people don't have the power to say anything. You carry the same personality. And what they told us is that the customer, just see everybody as having a need, and you need to fulfill that need. And the only way you can fulfill that need is by listening and by looking. So it's not about just clearing the queue, but it's the client. They taught us about the concept of internal customer care. So for example, if you think you're going to be smart, you want to look smart, but you haven't polished your shoes, then it's not going to happen, because that internal customer, the shoe, needs to be taken care of in order to give a good image. So if you don't take care of your internal customers, they will not take care of your external customers. And the culture of an organization it needs to continue when you're not there, not just because mkubwa amekuja, so now you sit properly and you start smiling with customers. No, if the people feel taken care of, there's a saying that I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. So you have people who work in different institutions, and when you meet this person in a certain institution, they are so helpful. For example, somebody who's having a locum or 2 jobs, when you meet them in another organization, they are so bored, they're not interested. It's because of the way they're being treated by their superiors in that organization. And people do not leave organizations, they leave supervisors. So be very careful about the toxic people within your environment who pretend to be nice in front of you, but they're actually causing a lot of problems with the way they relate with the staff under them. So thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you very much. People quit people, not companies, and people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Yeah, those are some fundamentals that are learned largely from John Maxwell. Thank you. I think we've run out of time. I'd like somebody to give a vote of thanks on our behalf. Catherine Shimechero, are you able to do that? Yes, on our behalf.